Welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm hoping to make the content more consistent going forward. So recently someone posted a Encore on the 1400K locally for a really good price. Jumped on it, as we can see here. Coming from the Z790 tag, this is a significant upgrade. Definitely more encouraging to bench on this than on that. Although someone did say it should be possible to flash the 790 BIOS on the Z690 tag. I might try that out at some point, but for now there's no plans. So, reason for today's video is I had the 1300K, now 1400K, don't need both. So plan was to test both, see which one is better, keep the best one, sell the other, unless specific reason to keep both was not the case. So did quick boot on the 1400K, looks alright, not great, then switch to the 1300K and oof, yes, we shall see. There's a reason it's the topic of today's video. Let me show you what I'm talking about with this 1300K. This is its VF curve. That is bad. Benching, I could not get 5.7 to work at a temperature I could cool it at. 5.7 once, 1.42 volts essentially, 5.8 once, 1.43. I subbed at 5.6. Okay, so that's a look at its VF curve, and now it's vid. I don't know why the vids all default to the same. Shout out in the comments if you know why. P-core, not horrific as far as I'm aware. Not great either, but those E-cores, man. So this is what I had to work with. Let's just go back to the Apex, because that's better than looking at the Nightmare. Okay, so I'd have loved to show you settings, and voltages, and frequencies, and timings. I can't. My capture card decided to off itself, so we'll just go from screenshots from the subs. Just a quick rundown, I ended up on 5.6 P-core, 4.5 E-core, 5 GHz ring at 1.37. Memory, for the most part, I was at 8400, 36, 49, 49, 34, 2T, 520 TRFC. Secondary hertz, some loose, some very loose. I was working on getting Y cruncher to parse. 8400 didn't want it, 8200 struggled, trying to tweak 8200 working, dropped down to 8000, 1 billion, 2 billion and 5 billion all passed. So scores weren't great. If I had more cooling I might have been willing to push further, although because I am also starting the CPU I didn't want to push too many volts. Just open the HWbot page for the 13900K. First one up is 7-zip. This is a pretty representative placement for any of the 50 to 70 pointers. Alright, but not terrible. So just taking a look at the standings as well. We have the Sub-Zero guys, then the 6 GHz locked, and then here I am. Better efficiency than most around me, but not great by any means. This wasn't a bad score, so we'll just take a look at it quickly. And then here you can see settings. Like I said, definitely something to improve upon. Looking at the Cinebenches, I'm at that 20-ish points range, so slightly down there. Since this cares a lot more for just pure clock, and because I'm pretty low, the scores aren't good. Single core, I didn't change anything for any of the single core benchmarks, I just left at 5.6 all core. Then we have the GPU pies, did alright here, nothing fantastic, but we can just take a look at this one. Sub-Zero, the high clocked, but here you can see that I didn't really have an efficiency advantage over anyone. The score is just very standard. And then that situation applies to all of the GPU pies. Geekbench 3, once again, very middle of the road. We'll just take a quick look at the GB3 multi. Again, Sub-Zeros, guys pushing really hard ambience, and then I'm done here. Almost 120k. This is a decent score for 5.6, although I am sandwiched between guys with 6.1 above and 6.1 below, although there are a couple scores with pretty similar clocks around. That goes for most of the Geekbench scores. Just run down them. Then X265, same story as the Geekbench. Not great, not bad. For 1080p at least, or 4K, I either got very slow runs that finished, or I had one of the overdrive windows crash. If this wasn't the last benchmark I was running, I might have tried to put more effort into it. Pi for Super Pi, no effort. Just clicked run, saved the first result, and carried on with my life. W Prime, same story, not bad though. And then Y-Cruncher. This is where I did spend most of my time. I tried Y-Cruncher first at 8400, tried a bunch of different settings and timings and voltage and everything I could think of. Nothing would work. Very quick failures. Then switched over to 8200. The run started going longer but still wouldn't pass. Tried changing stuff in the BIOS once again. Didn't help. Made it worse. Then dropped down to 8000 and booted right up. 1B, 2.5 and 5 all passed. I don't have enough memory for 10 billion. I mean, this is where I did spend most of my time, and I think the score will reflect that. So let's have a look. Standard sub-ambience. Then this incredible score from Paul. This is at 1.3 volts. That was the top end of the dream, but obviously that was never happening. And then we ended up with the score over here in 22nd. Decent once again. I think better than decent, but not great. And then we can just take a look at this. So, like I said, same settings, except this is at 8000. And we are getting right up there in temps. We're not thermal throttling yet, but we're close. And then on 2.5, generally pretty much the same order, but now Paul's score is at 5.5, but we're still about the same amount of time different, and we can just take a quick look at that one. So same scores, so we can just take a look at this one. It's the same, except now we're thermal throttling, which is not ideal. 5 billion, nothing to say there. And then the BBPs, those all passed at 8200, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they're not great scores. Okay, and just hopping back to the Encore, to final thoughts. I definitely have a lot that I need to learn and focus on, but I'm planning on actually spending the time to get better. Future plans for the board are obviously next step is to OC on the 4900K and some more DDR5. The platform, it'll eventually end up as a 3D bench. Next comp is 6600, so probably a 3D cheese bench first. But thanks for watching everyone. Hope you have a great one further. Cheers.